Hey guys, this is Professor Truth, and today we have brought back somebody you have been requesting often, and I had to pull his arm really hard and kick him in the foot, but he finally agreed to show up tonight. We have Shali Lama, better known as Drew, with us tonight. So welcome, Drew.
Hey, thanks for staying in contact and I think that, we obviously met for a reason. I think that everything happens for a reason. And I kind of, this summer, I kind of missed the camaraderie of the summer festival.
Yeah, I did too. I assume, of course, they didn't have it, but I know that we're not going to mention names, but we'll just say Paul, the other Paul. Paul and Colonel SC have been contacting each other, and I'm looking forward to Colonel SC coming up here to visit me here in 2 or 3 weeks. So that's going to be really cool. And there's other plans I have I'm not going to divulge, but I'll say this. Yeah, that was something that we all look forward to each year. That's where you and I met. That's where Pastor Eli and I hung out also for 2 or 3 summers, camping for several days. It was totally awesome. Enjoyed, of course, you hung out with us, so you became part of the clan, the inner circle.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you go to an event, I kind of knew people, but I didn't know people. But then it was just one of those things where everybody that was there just almost, it was just like a complete, you sensed that people were good. Mostly everybody there was, there were, apparently you guys had sensed that from time to time that there was some kind of, certain people that had like an aura of badness at times, but that was a very, very small percentage, somebody that was carrying something with them as far as evil or whatever.
Yeah, so we're not going to mention where we went, but yeah, this gathering, I will say this, we were all there to celebrate patriotism on July 4th to our republic that once was, and at least the people there loved this country, loved their race, although there were a few people of the other races there, but generally it was a white group, generally a Christian group. Yeah, some people were partying. It was a festive occasion. People had a lot of beer, and some of them had other things, but they were having fun. But it was a good time. And then as any event like that, when you get people like Pastor Eli and some of the other speakers, were high-profile speakers, well, you're going to have infiltrators. You're going to have people sent there to find out who's going to say what and who are the real high priority targets to the deep state, who are the enemies of the state there, Drew.
And I think that, it always was a relatively low key type of thing, but it was more so like as it kind of grew to a certain extent, it was, I always looked forward to meeting up with you and others there, to just reconnect, and that, that didn't take place this year because obviously this year has given us thrown us a curveball. We've been thrown a curveball.
Yeah, the end of the world has arrived.
Yeah, that's
nothing, no big deal. Just the end of the world has come. We're heading into it, and pretty crazy, isn't it, out there, my friend?
Yeah, I've been before we started recording, we were talking about the possibility of these inoculations, and I think that they know if this has any, and maybe I'm just trying to think in a way that's going to, instead of thinking that it's definitely, these things are definitely going to happen, I'm trying to think in the the possibility that there's going to be a lot of pushback, and I think that The social media is a large litmus test. There's so many of them. I mean, you've got your Twitter, and then there's the censorship. I mean, they're censoring so many people that really don't even deserve to be censored.
Yeah, and I heard that's on ramping up. They're starting to pull channels down. I know on my channel, I've noticed a lot of the videos are disappearing. Like, I'll go back to find, somebody will say, I can't find episode 3 of Colonel SC. And I'll go to the playlist, and sure enough, it's not there. Where did it go? You know, and that's not just the only playlist. Pastor Eli is taken down often. And some of the ones I've done on some serious topics, they just disappear, Drew, and they don't even give you a warning. And if you didn't, you know, I got 100 videos, maybe more, maybe 200. If you're not like actively seeking them, you won't even notice that they're disappearing.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing when you get such a library like you have, you know, all the hours and hours and hours and hours that you've put towards this. Great stuff. I mean, I've over the years I've listened more and more, and it's kind of become like a safe space or something. Even though some of the information is rather grim, it always is like a message of hope that we're going to somehow, really kind of maybe
figure it out. You got a lot of superlatives, maybe, kind of, somehow, hopefully.
Yeah.
So,
I have a buddy of mine that is I didn't know this, but I went to high school with him, and then later on we crossed paths. In the last 5 years, we crossed paths in the workplace. And then it just kind of dawned on me, because we were always really just good. It was always like a good time just, talking with him or communicating with him or something. He worked in one group that I was in for a short period of time, and then he moved on to another one. But it was always good to see him because he was always smiling. Really good guy. So I found out that we went to the same school, and we were 1 year apart. I think he was probably 1 year ahead of me. And then I found out that he was a Jehovah's Witness. And so and that didn't mean anything to me, because I wanted to, he was a good dude. So, I mean, it's like, I wasn't going to judge anybody. Like we see all the judgment and everything that's going on now out there. And so over the weekend, I reached out to him and I said, hey, we got to talk. We got to, have a coffee or something at some point. And he was like, yeah. He said, I'll send you my, we're doing a Zoom with our group of people. And I'll send you the link, and you can hang out with us. I didn't talk or anything, but I just kind of sat there and listened. And it was a predominantly a Black group of Jehovah's Witness people. And it was really just beautiful. A lot of the things that they were saying, they were, kind of quoting things from the Bible, talking about specific things in the Bible. And then when I got on the phone with him afterwards, because, he said, I'll give you a call afterwards or whatever. And I said, yeah, it was really nice. I said, you got a really good crew of folks there. And they really mean well. I said, how much do they know about what's going on out there? And he said, well, what do you mean? I said, how much do they know about how deceived that we all are about this whole, I call it the stroke me 19, not COVID-19, but stroke me 19. And he's like, well, yeah, da, da, da. And then he starts talking like I heard Farrakhan talk, it's just really kind of feeling like the virus, because I think somebody in Farrakhan's group of people died. And it could have been anything, but do they even know that everything's COVID now? if you break your leg and you bleed out, it's COVID. If you jump out of a plane and you hit the ground, it's COVID. Everything's COVID. So I said to him, I said there were empty hospitals in the beginning of this. The media has been overdoing this. And then what he said to me was, he said, "Oh, I'm a little disheartened by what you're saying."
You didn't drink the Kool-Aid, Drew.
No. And I didn't get upset with him, but I was just like, listen, I said, I just wanted you to know that there's something going on out there, and it's not what we've been told that it is. It's not what we've been told that it is. And the same amount of people that died last year and or the year before have died this year. There could be a catalyst for it. I've been doing a little bit of research. I've been doing some podcasts with some people. And we found that there was a story out of Italy that they exhumed bodies of people because they were obviously thinking like something's wrong here. Everybody's thinking something's wrong. So they exhumed bodies and they found out that the people had died from pulmonary embolisms instead of, pneumonia or whatever. And of course, the people over in Bergamo, apparently sometime in September, were given some kind of trivalent flu shot. So they already got a death shot prior to, and of course, probably most of the people that died in the elder care facilities in New York that Cuomo, killed, that meathead Cuomo, and some of the other ones, right, where they ship people here and there. And I just can't help but think when I hear so many things, and I've listened to everything, you know me, man, like when we met, I knew you guys were, scripturally sound but that didn't even matter to me. Like out in the world today, if somebody comes in and they start saying certain things, they'll be like, "Oh, we got a holy roller here," and then they just totally dismiss people. I could never do that because that's just not who I am, and that's why I was there at the event all those years, meeting up with people, good people like yourself.
Yeah, but when Pastor Eli and I speak, people can tell we speak with authority. And I'm not saying I'm anything special, but we truly are end time messengers of God, and we're not just your average churchgoer. And so, we don't, not suggesting you are someone we are particularly thinking about, but we're not even worried about who wants to listen or who doesn't.
Right.
We're there to proclaim truth that you're not going to hear in the scriptures. And so when we speak with authority. Back to this COVID thing, and the way I've, when you say, well, it's all fake, well, you can't say that because it's actually not all fake. Then you say if it's a plandemic, well, it is planned and it is a planned pandemic. But if you say it's a scamdemic, it depends on what you mean by scam, because at the core of this, there's a element that is factual. And here's the deal, though. So I've come up with a new term. It's a manufactured crisis. Okay. Yeah. It's a manufactured crisis.
Oh, definitely.
The numbers are being inflated. Everything. There's an agenda behind this, and what should be scary is what the bigger agenda is, and that's kind of what we're talking about. I watched V for Vendetta. Remember that movie?
Yeah, you sent me that. Yeah,
well, and went back and watched it, and the whole premise of that movie was about a contaminant, was about a flu type of injection they were giving people that would kill them, and but ultimately at the core, it was to maintain a state of fear in the mass populace, because fear is what they control you by.
That's right. Yeah, and that's all we've been hearing out of them. And I want to kind of, when I read this, and I saw it, and I'm going to go back and look at it again. I even watched the Truman Show just recently, within the last couple months. Have you ever seen Truman Show?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. Okay,
it really was, and I think and it turns out that there was a Rothschild involved in that. Luke something Rothschild was involved in that, like a producer or something like that of that movie. And the folks over at Truth Stream Media, that's Aaron Dykes and Melissa Milton. Aaron Dykes used to be Alex Jones's little buddy over there, and then he kind of broke away. I never heard him say anything negative about Alex Jones, which I guess is good, but they did their own thing. And she did a video, Melton did a video, a really good video about the Truman Show. And I'm going to go back and watch V for Vendetta for sure. Even a movie like Children of Men. I don't know if you remember that. With Clive Owen. Have you ever seen that?
I think I have, but I don't quite remember it.
It's really good. Owen's in it. Michael Caine's in it.
Was it like a futuristic lockdown type?
It is, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it starts out in the very beginning. It's over in London, somewhere in the United Kingdom. I don't know if it was still in the United Kingdom at that time, but it was probably like 2025, but set in 2025. But it says in the beginning, in 2009, there was a pandemic that left the population sterile. Now, that's what it said in the beginning. And I'm like, okay, of course it wasn't the pandemic that made them sterile. It was whatever was injected into them. Okay. So the bottom line is that the world is just at least that area is just absolute chaos. There's explosions, terrorism, all kinds of stuff going on. During the movie, in the very beginning, there's a person. Now, if there was a pandemic that left everybody sterile, who do you think would be the most popular person in the world if a pandemic would leave the population sterile?
Somebody that could figure a way to reproduce the species?
No, the youngest person in the world is like a very popular, like the youngest, because everybody's predominantly old, probably like 40 or whatever. And in like 15 or maybe even 15 to 20 years, nobody's had children. There's no young.
Oh, okay. So youth becomes
youth is like a thing. And then that person dies and everybody's kind of like, oh, they're at work and they're like, so-and-so died and I'm really distraught about it. So I'm just going to go home. So that's how it kind of starts. But the main point of it is that in the beginning, the write-up in the small writing says in 2009, there was a pandemic that left the world sterile. Children of Men. So check it out if you get a chance. And I'm going to watch V for Vendetta again. When in the breakdown, when I read V for Vendetta, it was just like wars and this and that and disease, so it's all kind of.
Well, there was a vaccination that killed a whole lot of people, and they were
in the movie. So it was like predominant, like the people watching it knew at that time that there was vaccinations that killed people.
Yeah, it was in the movie.
Okay.
And this vaccination that, actually was produced by the government. Of course, the government blamed it on a place like Wuhan, similar to what's going on. And it would kill people. And what they were trying to do is find subjects who could, on their own, their immune system was resistant. And so, of course, then they would find a couple, harvest their blood, and use that for the elite to be protected when they release this on a more global scale, this vaccination. Then they kept everybody in fear all the time so that they could conquer and, it was more like a Orwell 1984 with a vaccination similar to the COVID agenda where they're planning to vaccinate everybody. That's the bigger agenda. So you have to ask yourself, why? Of course, from a spiritual perspective, Anthony Patch, myself, and several others suggest that this is the mark of the beast. Whether it's the vaccination itself will change your DNA. Mm-hmm. And we suggest it'll change you into something that's no longer written in the book of life. The book of life is a book of DNA. DNA is your soul signature.
Sure.
And so if it changes your signature, you're no longer found in the book of life. So that's one big problem. And number two, this hydrogel quantum dot patch, that is actually officially the mark of the beast, but they go together. no one can buy or sell if you don't have either one. If you get the vaccination, well, you're not going to be redeemed. You're no longer redeemable. You're not in the book of life. And if you get the quantum dot patch, well, if you don't get the quantum dot patch, you cannot be into the new digital system after they crash the global economy and bring all the stock markets absolutely down to zero. That's all right around the corner. This is not like 10 years from now. This is like within the next 10 months, if not sooner.
I would say. Yeah, I'm feeling that they're moving pretty quick.
Yeah, and I want to get into that. We got some time, but I have some sound clips and things that we could talk about. But they are moving quick, so people you got to ask yourself why. Well, they're moving quick. This is my view, and I'm very likely correct, but I hope I'm not. They're moving quick, Drew, because Planet X is forcing their hand. Planet X is coming down, and they need to get everybody locked down, and they need to get the internet shut down. So by the time people see Planet X, it'll be too late, and they will not have been prayed. They'll most likely all have succumbed to the vaccine. They're trying to destroy God's children because they hate God, they hate Jesus Christ, and they're trying to destroy the seed of Adam. Even the hybrids like the black people and yellow people that have some of the seed of Adam can respond to the Holy Spirit. They're trying to kill all of the seed of Adam, and this vaccination will do it. But if people saw Planet X in the sky, they're going to pray and run to God, and God's going to honor that and protect them with his holy angels. And so they can't have that happen first. So they're in a mad rush because what I've heard, Planet X could be starting to be seen this October and probably no later than next March. But it could start being seen this October by some people. So those are three pillars going on. And I suggest to everybody start figuring out your backup plan. Pray to God. Make yourself righteous, repent, get your slate clean. And folks, I'm not going to go into my private life, but God's working in my life miraculously. And that's one reason I know this is it. This is the end of the world. This really is. Because this sign that has come in the last week or two in my life, he's pushing me. He's making me act where otherwise I would not have wanted to. I'm that kind of person. He has always got to kick me in the tail, get me moving. But he's kicking, and I know why. Here's the deal. Here's what's happening. This COVID is going to have a wave number 2. This is going to be a total lockdown, and it's never going to get the same again. You won't be able to travel. You won't be able to go anywhere. Then they're going to give you this false hope and say, but we have this vaccination. And if you just take it, we can get everybody back to normal. And if your neighbors and friends don't take it, they're preventing us from getting you back to normal. So if you don't take the vaccine, you become the enemy of not only the state, the enemy of the mass mind-controlled population. And so that's critical event or extinction level event number 1, the corona vaccination and the hydrogel quantum patch dot. Extinction level event number 2, well, what just happened in Beirut? Folks, World War III has officially started. I've been to Beirut. I've been in the mountains of Lebanon. Lebanon is really just little Iran. When you go in the mountains, you go through Hezbollah checkpoints. You go through every mountain pass you go through has Hezbollah guards, and you see a big picture of the Shah of Iran, Khomeini, whatever his name is. And
what's your take on them? What do you think that they're that
on who Hezbollah?
As far as Iran, as far as
This is what it's all about. Albert Pike wrote in Morals and Dogma, as you know, or actually in the letter to Giuseppe Mazzini, he wrote that we will foster World War III between Islam and the Zionist West. Okay, so Islam is represented by Iran, and that's going to ignite the whole Muslim world. Even though I know there's differences, but basically Islam, they're igniting it. Beirut is a center of Islam. There's Christians there too. So World War III just started. Hezbollah represents Iran, is what I'm trying to get at. And it's going to get blamed on Israel. It's my own personal opinion, probably right. Israel or even Israel working with some other governments. This is all being fostered by the real deep state, the global deep state, or the Illuminati, the Luciferians that control this and are moving toward order out of chaos. New World Order. So you just saw World War III start, everybody. It's going to be between Iran, Hezbollah, Lebanon, and Zionist West, which is represented by Israel. Okay, that's going to escalate because America supports Israel and Russia and China support Iran. There you go. You got it.
Do you think that at the very top, because I have like visions, not like visions, but I have thoughts. And the way that I see it is that that all of these countries are controlled by are controlled by the upper puppet masters.
Yeah, they're all controlled by the 13 Nephilim, Illuminati, Council of 13, which reports directly to Lucifer. But if people aren't familiar with that world, they're controlled by, as Drew is saying, by the top puppet masters. Best way to put it. So you have, in reality, the way it really is, you have Lucifer, who has 13 Nephilim, high seraphim, fallen angels working for him. They give orders to the serpent seed bloodlines, a predominant number of which are Jews today. Not all Jews, but a predominant number. Remember, the Bible says, beware of those that call themselves Jews and are not. Well, it's these ones that are not, that call themselves Jews, that are actually bloodlines of Lucifer, that are the administrators for the Nephilim. They're the ones that implement the plans. That would be your Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, those groups, a whole bunch of the 13 Illuminati bloodlines. Many of which call themselves Jews and are not. And so they're orchestrating it, sure, Drew, behind the scenes. They're puppet masters for all nations, left side, right side.
But do the people that are the people that will be fighting, do they know that they're fighting each other in like an orchestrated?
Well, the leaders know, but the average person has no, they're clueless. They're totally clueless. I mean, just like the wars we've had, World War I, World War II, even the atrocity and the evil that was perpetrated upon Germany, those were all orchestrated and staged in the same way. And they convinced people that we're doing the right thing, fighting against Hitler, or having the Russians come in there and get slaughtered. What you had was predominantly white Anglo nations killing each other and being controlled by the money masters and the leadership. In that case, Winston Churchill and Eisenhower's, they were behind all this. I think Churchill was the most evil. But
I think so too. But everybody like quotes him and thinks that he was some kind of like awesome individual, but he was really just a fat drunk who was in debt to powerful bankers, him and his father. So he did exactly what they said for him to do.
Yeah, at the surface level, that's perfectly correct. Digging a little deeper, he was a hybrid between a fallen angel and a mankind. He had the serpent unholy triple helix in him, which is an antenna. Your DNA is a light transceiver antenna to a spirit or light code. So when you have a serpent seed in you, or the unholy triple helix, you're basically tuned into the Lucifer's radio station. So he was just a pawn of Lucifer, just like people talk about President Trump. I warned people from the beginning. Now, yes, I do agree God's using him to identify all the evil of the system, but it doesn't mean that he's on the good side. He's just being used by God for that purpose, so that we have no excuse, having let evil get to this level of debasement, at extreme evil at such levels. We allowed it, and God is just making that clear using Donald Trump. I heard Donald Trump is actually a Jew by religion.
I heard that as well.
That's insane, folks. We are doomed. We got rid of the Confederate flag, which represents Jesus Christ and the once holy nation we used to be. Got rid of that. We've allowed the sub races to dominate. Well, this is all prophesied, by the way, and there's nothing left. So we're under these major judgments. Like I say, there's three. The vaccination from COVID will destroy your soul. The World War III will destroy your body, and then Planet X will destroy everything else. And it's on our door. So how do you survive? This is pretty fearful. So what do people do? Folks, you have to repent, get righteous, and pray to Jesus Christ and get in your scriptures. I know I repeat this over and over, but it's because that's the solution. And if you're genuine in your heart, God says in his word, pray you're counted worthy to escape all these things. God is big enough to have you escape this, or he's big enough to have you taken out with no pain too, which is also equally, unless you've taken that vaccine and then you're no longer redeemable, and then you will go to a holding chamber of hell waiting on final judgment. Don't take the vaccine. Back to you, Drew. You started off saying they're anticipating a large resistance. Well, here's the deal. I think it's larger than they expected, because I think true Christians are being activated right now by the Holy Spirit. God has some cards up his sleeve. I think true Christians are starting the true ones, not the ones in word only. And God's remnant is probably larger than they expect. And we just know that we know what this vaccine is. We don't have to be told. We don't have to watch the news or the propaganda. God's true people know. And I heard there's at least 20% of the population going to refuse, and I think it's going to be higher than that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm hoping that there's going to be the people that they're going to control, they're controlling with fear. I still see people driving in their cars with masks on. I see a lot of people that, they know instinctively that they're not in any danger, because they probably, high percentage, they know no one who was sick, or if the person that they know was sick, they got better, like most people do, younger people, and they don't know anybody who's died. So they feel as though there's nothing to fear, and I think that's a good thing that's out there. There's this kind of like a karmic thing that I think people are picking up on. It's just like, there's really nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear here. I don't know anybody who's sick. They don't know anybody who's sick or died. But there's a large amount of people on social media that hate Tony Fauci, justifiably. He's a compromised scumbag. And then people are hating on Bill Gates. They know that he's, the guy, within days of these things happening, he gets on saying nobody's life's going to go back to normal until we get a vaccine. So he thought that it was okay to say that to people who believe that they're free. And it wasn't a good thing to say to people, because he became an instant pariah and an instant hateable figure, because I'm not saying this. He's a white guy and he's a billionaire telling people what to do. Come on, Bill. Think about what you're doing, scumbag.
Yeah, and he's a dead man. Did you know he actually died several years ago?
I would not doubt it. What do you know?
I think it was in 2013. I think I read it. He was in a car wreck or something. Don't quote me, but I saw some research that he and his wife were both killed, not at the same time, but they're both dead. And these are clones with demons running them, and that would explain what we're seeing.
Well, I know a number of years ago when I did the Bilderberg thing when it was in Virginia. And I'm pretty sure that was 2012, that he was there, that he was an attendee at Bilderberg, because
that would have been the real one.
His large connections to the Rockefellers and, they're eugenicists. The whole thing. They're just, when they get together, the media always, up until recently, up until recently, they were largely hidden, and nobody reported on their gatherings wherever they were.
People should have known something was wrong when you can go into your Safeway grocery store and get a free flu shot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. People should have known this isn't, something's wrong with this picture. You go into a grocery store, it's not a pharmacy, it's not a doctor's office, a grocery store, and not only can you get a free flu shot, they will give you a discount on your bill, your grocery bill, if you'll take this flu shot. They want you to get that flu shot so bad, they'll give you money back on your groceries. I mean, folks, there's something seriously wrong with this picture.
It is. But, you get those people that just don't care, and they're like, oh, free flu shot. Yeah, I don't get those. And they just don't think anything about it. The people that are in fear and want that flu shot, like there's a guy that is in my brother's wife's side of the family. And he was just like, I remember talking about vaccines and things like that and just being like, yeah, I don't get them because they're not good for you. And he was like, just totally offended. I mean, he nearly got violent because of the things that I was saying about that. And it all came down to, oh yeah, that one year that I didn't get the flu shot, I got really, really sick. And I'm just like, well, that was just a coincidence. And dude was like really pissed off. And I'm not exactly sure what he's doing these days. And honestly, I don't really care. Yeah,
there's a hysteria in these fearful people. They're so mind controlled. I was at a Panera not too long ago, and I lowered this stupid mask down below my nose so I could breathe. And this guy wanted to fight me. He followed me out to my car, calling me all these F names, this, that. Mm-hmm. Just because I lowered my mask, he was so offended. And I thought about just killing him because I could have easily. And then I thought my better self came to, one, maybe he has kids and they got a daddy, and that would be kind of sad. And number two, if I killed him, I would go to jail and I wouldn't be able to do my shows. So, but they want to kill you. I mean, if I had gone over to him and started pushing him a little, he would have just gone off.
Yeah. I want to say I didn't wear a mask one time when I went into Costco, and this one guy eventually, and I went through the store pretty easily without anybody really even saying anything to me. I had a bandana kind of around my neck, right? And then I was just like, it was, and when they did it, and I knew the guy was saying, it was like, sir, and I totally ignored him. I just was walking like I didn't hear him. And eventually he kind of like came around. He said, you mind me putting your mask on? And I said, yeah. And then I put it on. And as I walked away, it just fell off again. And then I got up front, and there was a woman up there, and she just kind of was getting all huffy and like looking at me all judgmental. And I was like, I said, and I just kind of like tilted my head like a dog and looked at her.
Well, and, you got to be careful. People will go unleash on you.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're afraid of that. The thing that really freaks me out is that I remember a time when there was a lot of black people that were very, very religious. Okay, they were very religious, kind of like what I saw over the weekend with my buddy's congregation of people. And when you hear a lot of what very religious people say, not just Jehovah's Witness, but Jehovah's Witness is a good example. When they come to you and they knock on your door and then you talk to them, for them to be so afraid of dying from a virus, it's like, it's almost as if you feel as though they're full of crap. Because it's like they sit there and they talk about, and I want to say that they, for some reason, from what I heard in what somebody's saying, that I think that they believe in the pre-tribulation rapture, where they're going to get pulled away from this. And I wanted to say, dude, there is no, I'm not a religious guy, but I'm pretty sure there's no pre-trib rapture. Okay. So get that out of your head. Okay. Everybody's going to get the same amount of stuff. Well, almost everybody's going to get the same amount of stuff, but you're not going to escape whatever the system wants to do to you. At the same time, I remember, what was very interesting was when I listened to Farrakhan's, 4th of July dissertation. It was probably like 3 hours, and I wanted to hear what he had to say, because he always has something to say that I want to know, that I want to hear what he has to say, because it's very revealing about certain groups. It's very revealing about, just everything. And one thing that he did say was, don't take the shot. Don't take the shot, right? And then as a result of that, the following Sunday, there were specific tweets and social media from athletes that listened to, what is he? Farrakhan is the, what is it? He's like the head of, I can't even think of what it is. I've said
Black
it.
Panthers or something? Or?
No, not the Panthers. No, he's
Black something.
He's like Islam. He's like the main guy of the nation.
Black people of Islam, yeah.
Right. And that really triggered a lot with a lot of people, because there's a lot of athletes out there. And I'm not going to say their names or one in specific, but he basically kind of said something about, he started talking the J word. He started throwing the J word around, and he started talking about vaccines, right? So as you're listening to the radio and you're listening to people as they attack him for on some level telling the truth, or just parroting some of the truth that he heard when he listened to Farrakhan, he got he in particular got kind of hammered by the media, because that's what happens. The people have policed. The people have policed and enslaved themselves, so they don't really need a big system to do it. The guy who was getting violent with you for not having your nose holes covered up. I mean, it's the mainstream media is they are just awful, man. There's got to be some kind of way, and I wanted to, just like on the weekend, I wanted to get one of those things, markers that you can write on car windows, and just be like, the mainstream media is the real virus. The COVID agenda equals, people are calling it COVID-1984. I mean, people are seeing this, and they know. I spoke with someone today that, when he started saying, and I say a couple things that kind of trigger to see if somebody's paying attention. I always do that. I always try to make a conversation and say something to see if somebody's going to bite. It's my own way of fishing, not like the email fishing, but just conversational fishing to see if somebody's got any brain matter. And this guy was like, oh yeah, my buddies were calling me crazy and all this other stuff, right? And then so I kind of felt that he had some smarts, right? And I said to him, when you had back in like the 30s after the Great Depression, you had regulation that was put in place to separate investment and commercial banking, which they believed was the cause of the Great Depression, or one of the causes of the Great Depression. And then in 1995, when Clinton and the Treasury guys got together and they deregulated Glass-Steagall, and those two banking entities slammed together. And then 12 or 13 years later, you have the 2008 crisis. I said, nothing was done. I said, what happened with the deregulation that caused the 2008 crisis, where they stole money? The American people knew that they were stealing money. I said, you had the Tea Party and a bunch of these other organizations standing there saying, "You're stealing from us. We know you're robbing us. You're stealing from us." And I said, guess what? Nothing was done after 2008. I said the same type of things were done from 2008 all the way up into 2020. And nothing was done. There were no changes and nothing was done. I said, and eventually there was going to be, forget the pandemic, forget all these things that happened this year. I said, eventually there was going to be a collapse of the economy because it was fake. I said, it was all fake. And I said, what do you think that very, very powerful rich people would do to take themselves off the chopping block? Like a second round, like, what was it? Fool me once, shame on me, right? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, right? So this was, they weren't going to allow that to happen. They weren't going to allow the people to know that they said, we stole from you again, and we're stealing from you now. You got no pensions, you got no retirements, and now we dropped whatever on you. A virus that some claim has not really ever truly been isolated, has not ever satisfied a thing called a Koch postulates, where you take a virus, you take a germ, and then you do all these scientific methods to say, okay, did this germ cause this guy to get sick? Did this germ cause this woman to get sick? And it's never been satisfied. I truly believe that in 2003, I think that's when the SARS thing was. I think it was 2003. The SARS virus didn't even exist. It was just a lead up to this.
Yeah, I'm not even an advocate of the virus theory at all. I'm more of an exomer advocate.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, the exosome. Yeah,
exosome. Funguses are real and bacteria are real, and funguses have genetic code. So do bacteria.
We have them. We have them in our body for a reason.
And you can manufacture DNA or genetic code and call it a virus, and that's likely what they're doing. But generally, it's the fungus that will kill you. What I believe is happening here is they have a virus of fear. They have a fear virus, and there are symptoms. And likely they sprayed people with some biological, keyword biological, not virus. Okay, some bioweapon made in some, military facility. They probably sprayed some folks with that, and that's what you're seeing. And that will have something like an anthrax, which is a form of a bacterial or a fungi. Again, it's not a virus.
Or like a cyanide. Somebody said that
could be cyanide.
Could be a cyanide thing because that does something. I was having a conversation with one of my podcasting buddies, and I said, well, if you go back to the Spanish flu, I heard, I interviewed, Eli interviewed her, that she's like 80 something now. I think you might have sent it to me, or maybe Eli sent it to me. But it was the woman who was the orthopedic surgeon in San Francisco during the AIDS epidemic or whatever.
Oh, you're talking about Dr. Day?
Dr. Day, yeah. So she said to me during the interview, I don't think I'll send it to you because I don't know if you ever heard it. Because I reached out to Eli and I said, yeah, I'd really like to speak with her. So he kind of like set it up. He gave me her email address and it was pretty simple to get in contact with her. And she was very cordial and got in touch with me quickly. So, where was I before that?
I think you were just saying that
right. Yeah, she said that 2018. During the 1918 Spanish flu thing, the pandemic that supposedly killed like 50 million people. She said that there was record of a dentist in New York City, one of the boroughs in New York City, and you would imagine that a dentist would know a lot of people, right? Well, this dentist that she had some kind of connection with, family connection or something, she said that he didn't know anybody who died from the Spanish flu. Okay. And my buddy, who I do podcasts with every now and then, said that it was quite possibly something that was sprayed or people were exposed to, not so much a virus, but they were exposed to something that killed them.
Yeah, chemical bioweapon from some military installation.
Right. And then, they could just say whatever they wanted to at the time. They
could say whatever they want and induce a fear agenda and promote. It truly is the Truman Show.
Yeah, it's like what they're doing now. They can say, I listened to David Icke in one of his, he did 5 London Reels with Brian Rose. And I think in the last one he said they can do and say whatever they want to say about this thing, because if it doesn't exist, they just get to expand and expound upon anything that the damn thing can do when it's not doing what it's
an invented scenario, a orchestrated propaganda event, but there is an element of truth. I mean, they've sprayed people with something there, but now here's the other thing, and everybody knows this too, and if we say it, they may pull this, but there's a certain radio frequency coming out in your new phones, right? A global system of communication, right?
Yeah, I don't have one of those. But
I don't either, but you're already being radiated by it. That's my point. And these cell towers are already set up for 5G, we'll just say it. And 5G is not the only thing. There's 6G, there's 10G. That's just what you know about, okay?
But aren't the people getting, some people said that whatever they released, whatever they did, it was only something, they knew it was that it was going to be a small thing that had an effect that they would overreact to, but they didn't want to put something out there that would hurt a lot of people. They had their reasons for not doing that because they have the media to, exaggerate everything. And so.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think they'd kill everybody if they had the opportunity. And I think that's what they're trying to do. Really, it's what Vendetta said. This is a fear agenda because this is not the first thing. This is the initiation of ramping fear up continuously through event. And Brother Danny put a really good spin on this, or deciphered it. It's called hope and despair. Hope and despair. Right now, we're in a slight pause before, the slight hope. People are getting back to a little bit of normalcy. And then they're going to have wave 2, more despair.
Well, 2 was already here. I thought wave 2 was already, where it...
Okay, maybe it is. I don't watch the news. Wave 2, and then more despair. And then they're going to say, well, there's hope if you get vaccinated. So people will run to get that. And there'll be a small pause. And then World War III will hit, and their souls will be damned, and most of them will die anyway. Despair. And then there'll be hope. Well, the false aliens, fake alien invasion will show up. Well, we're going to end World War III for you, but you have to worship us and get rid of this Jesus. We'll show you why your Bible's a fraud. And everybody that's left will run to that. And then it'll be despair again with Planet X, and then all the souls go to hell. So that's the cycle that they're in. I kind of laid it out pretty quick, didn't I?
Pretty quickly.
Hey, I got some sound clips here. Let's listen to some, and then we'll comment on them, unless you want to continue for just a bit.
No, I'd like to hear what you got there.
Okay, here's number 1, everybody, from Stuart Best and Larry Taylor. These guys they're really kind of interesting. I don't agree with their theology. They're Christian Zionists and dispensationalists, but they've got a lot right, and they certainly make you laugh. They do. But this is not a laughing matter. Here we go.
Okay, here's another one. Scientists have warned that a 400-foot tsunami could hit the East Coast if an asteroid hit the Atlantic Ocean. They've been planning on this. There's a document called Air Force 2025 that devotes a chapter to asteroid impact events. They've got it all charted out. I think they have known for a long time that this is coming, and now we're about facing it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, asteroid hits the Atlantic. Now, what is that? Could that be the debris field of Planet X? They're already talking about asteroid inbound. I don't know if you're aware of this, Drew. You probably are. That there's already 2 asteroids sighted that are going to come within like 1/3 the distance of the moon. In other words, the moon is 3 times. This thing's going to be 1/3 a lunar distance. This asteroid, and what if they're off? And what if there's a whole lot of smaller ones that they're not tracking or not telling you about, and one actually hits the Atlantic Ocean? Folks, this is coming. Planet X is real, and we're in serious trouble. Have you heard about any of that, Drew?
No, I don't. I mean, at this point, I just wish that I had, just for a little period, a small period of time, just for my own satisfaction, I wish that I could just appear, like kind of do some kind of trick or something where I could move myself into anywhere else in the world. And when I get there, Bill Gates and Tony Fauci are there. And I have the power to grab them both around their necks and then just slam their heads together like 2 friggin' watermelons. And then Planet X can hit like right at that moment.
I like it, man. Put a movie together. Great screenplay.
I do want to. Well, that's kind of like, what is that? The Watchmen? The Mr. I don't know if you ever saw any of that Watchmen stuff, but there's a character, Dr. Manhattan, where he can move. He can be on Earth and then he can be on some other planet with it in like a nanosecond. That type of
I haven't seen that, but that's also a real technology. And I cover that stuff in my space program. I don't know if I have some space clips too. Let's see. Yeah,
I mean, I think anything's possible at this point. There could be the caldera in the middle of the middle U.S. could kind of explode, and then what? And then you could wipe out so many number of people there. I saw an article about some drones, like a swarm of drones that were somewhere sighted near one of the nuclear facilities.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a drone war. In fact, I watched the Terminator, the new one, just the other day. The one, and
I saw that one too. Yeah.
That type of Terminator, you don't have any hope against something like that, man. That thing, it has nanotechnology. It reassembles itself. That's real stuff, folks. And like I say, I talk about that on the Secret Space program. Let's hear another clip here and see what they got to say.
She talks about an economic collapse. She says stock market closes. Totally. Stock market goes to zero. Well, you and I can't even fathom the stock market going to zero. However, the New World Order can certainly fathom it, and that's exactly what they've got planned, to wipe out our economic system worldwide, and they have to do that so that they can bring in their mark of the beast system, the digital system. It's all digitized. It's incredible what is going on, and it's all focused, I guess, on, one could say, on Bible prophecies coming true, like Jesus said it would, every word.
So yeah, I mean, the average person who can really just kind of put things together in a critical way, like I said to this guy today, because he was making some sense, and he was making. I said to him, I said you're absolutely right to question what you're seeing. I said you're absolutely right to question this. I said don't let anyone tell you that you're crazy. Don't let anyone steer you away. I said you're in tune to something that's going on that most people just cannot even fathom is happening. They're locked into one way of looking at this, or their spouse is so locked into that way of looking at it, like a wife, mostly a wife would say, this is this, because, I'll see wives walking through a park. I'll see the wife wearing a mask, but the husband's not wearing a mask. So, so largely, I said to him, you're right to think this way because there's something that's not right about it. And that's when I started telling him about the economic thing and how they haven't done anything to change it. I said they've been robbing and they've been looting the treasury for years now. I said there was nothing done. I said we had the 2008 crisis. Nothing was done to change things. It was all lip service and window dressing, and nothing was done. I said, do you think these people, the public knowing that they've robbed them one time, that they would another economic collapse that would happen without something to steer people away from it, something to blame it on? And that's what they have. They have something to blame it on. They have the plausible deniability of a virus to say, and then you'll see stories. I said to him, you'll see stories saying, look what COVID-19 did to this group of people. Look what COVID-19 did to the economy over in Istanbul. Look what COVID-19 did. Look at COVID-19. No, look what the governments and the misleaders of these places did that destroyed the economy and people's lives. It wasn't a virus. It was the overreaction to it. I said to him, the purposeful overreaction to this virus is causing all of these problems. And I said, we haven't seen all of these problems yet. Food shortages, everything under the sun. There's people, 100 million people are probably going to just starve in other countries that are already malnourished. They're going to die. And we're not going to. And what are people doing? I mean, there's this one guy, Jason Jones, who lives in Hawaii, and he did a podcast with someone. He's pretty well-known guy, but what he does, and he's very wealthy. But what does he do? He makes sure that people get fed. He does so many different things with so many different groups in the world. And I don't know if he knows that, maybe some of these groups are not, all, Christian and loving and benign. But one of his jobs is to make sure that people get fed. And I listened to that and I was like, dude, you're good. And then I messaged him on Twitter, on the Twitter ship. And I said, I listened to this interview, man. I said, I really like what I heard. I said, you guys are good, man. You guys, and he said, people are going to starve, man. He said, I can't control it. He said, I've been helping feed people for a long time. And he said, but there comes a point where I'm just not going to be able to help people.
Yeah, this is really much bigger. And that starvation is planned, like you said, is planned and is coming here too. In fact, they're going to use food and starvation as the main leverage against those who do not want to get vaccinated. Either get vaccinated or you'll starve and watch your children starve. Folks, this is some serious times. Now, you said earlier, Drew, that these global elite are a manufactured crisis, a manufactured agenda of fear, a manufactured virus. So, but nevertheless, I want to dig a little deeper.
Sure.
Who are these global elite? Who are they? Well, these are your usual suspects. Who controls all this money? Who are the people you're hearing about? The bankers. If they're going to have an economic collapse, I can assure you the bankers are not going to lose their money. They've already figured a way to transfer it into this new digital Libra system that Anthony Patch laid out quite well. And they're not going to lose, but all of you will lose your money.
Is it a Bitcoin thing?
It's based on that concept of a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, but it's the new Libra system. And Anthony wrote about it in one of his Entangled magazines. He really is a brilliant man. And this is what's coming. They're not going to lose their money, but who are these people? Well, I ask you, who has been throughout history the money changers, the bankers, the lawyers, the usual suspects? Who are they? Well, you know who they are. They're not just anybody. They're a particular race, the race of the devil, the serpent seed through Cain. And they're Lucifer's administrators. They're the literal offspring of the devil on this planet. orchestrating an evil agenda against the seed of God. Now, that's what it is. What can you do when this stuff is really coming, folks? This is not a drill. Well, again, one, if you live on the coast, pray about it. Get out, move, start now. Do whatever you can. Get some land, go somewhere. Get away from the coast. There's going to be asteroid impacts. Number two, make sure you're in prayer and repentance every day. Get in that Bible. I've said it all the time. I'll never stop saying this because most people won't do it. And that's another theory of mine, because you don't normally do what someone else tells you to do. Only by your own obedience and opening the Word of God does that obedience activate your code to give you then understanding and an operational plan. In other words, God will download into you what you got to do and how, and he'll open the doors, but not until you on your own, when nobody's looking and nobody told you to do it, open that Bible and pray and repent and read the scriptures. That active obedience will likely save yourself here and now and eternally. But okay, let's put that aside, but that's the answer. You're up against the beast, and the Bible says, who can come against the beast? Well, nobody can come against the beast. They're going to bring in the military systems, the martial laws, the FEMA camps. They're already ready. The guillotines, the starvation, World War III is upon us. This vaccination agenda to destroy your spiritual code. And if that wasn't bad enough, Planet X and the fake alien invasion. This is all going to likely happen in the next 6 to 12 months. All of those things. So this is not a time to think, well, things are going to get back to normal, or maybe I can ride this out and plan for. No, your planning should be for here and now, and to save your soul and to try to get away from the coasts. And then the Bible does say there will be survivors. So you want to be one of those. You want to be the ones that are counted worthy to escape these things. But because I don't have a whole lot of good news other than Jesus Christ is the truth, the way, and the life, and the only way. Other than that, this is the time of Esau. The East. And by the way, folks, this whole war here that you're caught up in, if you're not a white person, you're not really the primary target. White people of the seed of Adam are now being destroyed by the seed of Cain. And that's what this is all about. Well, you'll say, well, wait a minute, how come they're attacking Iran? Well, they're attacking Iran to bring Islam against Zionist West, which will bring all the white Anglo nations of Jacob into a massive fight to kill each other. And the usual suspects, the bankers, are funding it. They're sitting back. They're in their underground layers, which the Bible says will crumble on them. Underground layers.
Good to know.
So I got another clip here, and it's related to this, folks. But my gosh, this is not a drill. It's the real deal. Here we go.
What's your take on this concept that this total lockdown from wave number 2, COVID wave 2, is for the incoming? What do you think about that?
Well, I was going to comment on a couple of things here.
Incoming is Planet X.
I listened to a short amount of an audio earlier today where James McCaney came back out and had a quick interview with John Moore. It was an audio. It wasn't a video. And Moore asked McCaney what he thought of the situation, this massive explosion in Beirut, and McCaney said, and my ears perked up when he talked. McCaney said the New World Order will have its war, and he said that's where this is going to lead to. And I thought, wow. Now, on what you originally asked me, there was an earlier program, and I sent you a link to it, where that Israeli News Live, where they've moved from Florida apparently up into Missouri, close to John Moore, and they had John Moore in their studio, and they talked, and I don't know if you had time to listen to that or not, but John Moore seems to indicate insiders are telling him that there's a second wave of corona coming, and the main purpose behind that, and he claims, and I don't have the data, but he claims that it's a permanent shutdown, that, all travel will be immediately stopped. Everybody will remain in their homes. It'll be like martial law, and actually it's not so much the COVID, it's to put everybody in a lockdown worldwide, I guess, basically, and especially America, before the incoming begins to have impact?
Well, it's kind of interesting because when you lock down, now I take it they mean full lockdown, no airplanes flying, no trains running, no buses, no nothing, only the military, right? Would be my guess.
Well, that's what I would surmise from the way he worded it. It was like a complete lockdown, other than maybe the military.
There you go, Drew.
So, I mean, how much military do we actually have that could actually herd the amount of people that are in the U.S.? I mean, that's one of the only.
No, this is going to be
that's not going to what they're saying is not going to happen. But there's a lot of people that are not going to. There's a lot of people that are not going to go for another lockdown. It's just not going to. It's not going to go over well, is what I'm saying, and they know that too.
Yeah, but Drew, I think people are doing zero now. They're going to do zero again. There'll be a few small groups, but they've thought this out. You're up against a diabolical satanistic spirit here. This is not. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. This is a high level ranking evil that we're up against. And you don't. First of all, they're going to use NATO troops, so you don't just need the U.S. military, and. They're just talking about a lockdown. People are locked down now. They're just going to shut down the airports and shut down the bus stations and train stations. They can do that. They can do it right now, and there's not a thing people can do about it. You're up against the beast. And it was interesting to me that this Israeli news organization in Florida moved to Missouri. Why did they move? I told you, to get away from the East Coast. They know. And also, Larry and Stuart said, this whole lockdown is not for the New World Order. It's because incoming Planet X. They're going underground. They're hoping to survive Planet X and wait a couple years and then come out and then rebuild the New World Order. But see, they want to kill the population. They always said, the Georgia Guidestone reduced the population to 500 million. And that's certainly what they want to do. But they're going to do that. They're going to let Planet X do that, or people that got flu shots will slow die off while they eat all the money in your wallet. Soft kill. They're going to do that, but they're going to let Planet X kill most people. Right now, they're just trying to kill your soul. That's the agenda at the moment. Not much to say. I got one more clip, but it's related to the last one, so we can hear that one if you like.
Sure.
When you lock down, now I take it they mean full lockdown, no airplanes flying, no trains running, no buses, no nothing, only the military, right? Would be my guess.
Well, that's what I would surmise from the way he worded it. It was like a complete lockdown, other than maybe the military.
Well, what's interesting, too, is a permanent lockdown, because I remember that ne'er-do-well, erstwhile Noise, who has been so accurate about her prophecies concerning the United States, said that there comes a time when where you are is where you are, and you cannot move. So I'm wondering, is that what she's talking about? Because it almost sounds that, doesn't it?
Yeah. Wow. That's I remember you saying that years ago when I was reading her book, and you was talking about No Eyes and some of the interviews you'd heard. Red Elk actually knew her, I believe, and
Yes.
When you said that, and I remember you saying that she said there would be a lockdown. You were where you were. I could have never actually thought into the future where we would be today.
Yeah, and it was very, very interesting because I asked Red Elk when he came over to here to visit, and it was very, very fascinating to me because I asked him, I said, is this No Eyes real? Or is this just a somebody of Mary Summer Rain's imagination. And he looked at me, he started to smile, and he said, no, he said, I knew her personally. He said, that is Noise. And she really does have these visions.
So another interesting clip, a permanent lockdown. And anyway, Drew, what did you think of that one?
Well, I say anything's possible. I say anything's possible. I mean,
see, I met Red Elk. Alexander and I flew out to Seattle. Colonel SC was supposed to be with us, but that sucker missed his plane. I talked to him just the other day. I said, remember how you missed your plane, man? We were looking forward to having you with us. But we went out to see Red Elk, and he's an amazing Christian Indian, white, by the way. And he was very spiritual. He told us about the inner earth. He told us about the little people and the different portals to the inner earth. It was pretty fascinating. I could go on a whole show on Red Elk and what we went over. But he's vouching for this no eyes person, lady. I don't know what else to say, folks. This is a serious situation. I know, I can only say in my life, God is clearly making moves that I didn't expect, but I recognize as a hand of God, because I've seen this many times when he moves in my life. So I'm no better than any of you. I may pray and read my Bible more than most of you, and that's all you have to do to get the same attention from Father God in your life. And if you do that, that's your only solution. This is a spiritual issue. Secular solutions will not handle a spiritual war. It's a spiritual war. And the only solution is a spiritual one, and that's Jesus the Father sending his holy angels to take care of you and protect you and your loved ones. And it's not, is anything impossible for the creator of the universe that made every atom? No. Have faith. I'm telling you, have faith, and you'll be okay. But if you try to worry about this, I mean, we're all going to worry, but really, I'm not worried. But if you try to worry and you get caught up on this stuff, this is really happening. What we laid out tonight is really happening. It's going to be so. Here's why I think it's so fast, Drew, because the thing that Father God's doing in my life just came on me just like that, and the rapid pace of what I have to do, and I'm not going to go into details. I'm going to be having to make major life changes fast. That knowing me, I would have put off, kicked down the road. I got to do them now, and I'm going to do them. But it's because I clearly see God opening an amazing door for me to do everything that we talked about tonight. And I'm not special. Again, God will do it for you guys too. Listen to this. He really will. He really will. Over to you, Drew.
Well, I would certainly like to hear about that sometime. You know what you're in the middle of, and if there's time to, do some kind of like online gathering of sorts to, with I know that you do some group stuff. I don't know if there's time for that now, but.
Well, there's always time if people are interested. The problem we had in the past, we got people that were. See, you're a very cool person, a great brother in our bloodline. Even though you don't, maybe not, you're not meant to be. Your calling was not to be a preacher like maybe mine was, but you have other gifts, and you and I hang out, and we don't have a problem. But I got involved with a group that were church people, and when I started teaching them what the Bible really said, they got, just like talking to people about the masks and all, they're fearful. It touches their inner core of mind programming, mental conditioning. You trigger them into a hostile nature, an aggressive, attacking, defensive posture just by bringing up the truth. The truth sets these people off. So I'm hesitant about getting in another group, but with you, of course, I'll do it in a second. And I will say this, here's something really cool. Colonel SC is going to visit me in the next month sometime, and we're going to go fishing and hanging out and do a lot of stuff. And we're going to talk to him today. I talk to him almost every day. We're going to start, I got this new software, maybe you're familiar with it, Drew, called Ecamm Go Live. And we're going to start live shows with me and Colonel SC. Of course, you could be invited too, but we're going to do live shows with me and Colonel SC and really lay it all out on, the scary stuff.
I've heard some of your conversations, so yeah, I know what.
Yeah, but this is cool because it's hard to pin the Colonel down, man. I hadn't heard from him for 6 months, and all of a sudden he's coming up here. He wants to come visit.
So what's he doing? Is he okay?
Oh, yeah, he's doing really, really well. God's taking care of him. And he does all the things that most people do. He drinks beer, he parties, and all that, has fun. But he's also in his Bible. That is a man that loves the Word and is in it. Believe it or not, you wouldn't know it by hearing him, but he can run circles around me reading the book of Isaiah. I was at his home once, got up in the morning, I heard somebody out there talking. The Colonel was pacing, reading the book of Isaiah, not reading. He was from memory. He was like a prophet. He was speaking Isaiah word for word for word in a very powerful pacing mode with authority. I'd never seen anything like it. That's an anointing, man. So, yeah, he's doing great, doing really well, and I'm excited to see him here soon, go fishing and hang out a little bit.
Nice.
So let's go ahead and wrap this up, Drew. I'll give the floor back to you for a little bit. And what do you want to tell the people? What other information have you come across and all the stuff that you've dug up? What do you think? How would you describe what's going on in your words? That one last try to convince those that are under mind control to just shake them loose and wake up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm trying to figure out some kind of way to make people kind of see without seeing. You know what I mean? Because that's like a kind of, And I was thinking that the mainstream media is trauma-based mind control. For people to know that they're being steered with trauma. They're being steered with death. They're being steered with with that tool, that it is trauma-based mind control. And it's just it's an everyday thing. Like somebody said today, this one, I was listening to like this Ron Paul Liberty Report that they do. And apparently there was this one guy, this one doctor from out of Houston who said mostly people aren't affected by are mildly affected by the coronavirus, but just walking around and doing what people do every day, you could be killing people. And the one guy on the show said, dude, he said, that's like starting those are like war words, for a doctor to say that to a group of people saying, yeah, you might not get it really bad, but just you wanting to live or wanting to breathe without a mask, or you wanting to just, have a normal life, you're killing you wanting to have a normal life is going to kill someone. How do you feel about that? That type of thing. And people listen to these doctors and they believe what they say. These doctors are trained drug pushers. That's all they are. That's all they are. And for people to say, like, that's all you see now about, the healthcare providers and the nurses. It's like you're heroes. It's like, no, they're actually under a gag order to not say what went on in the hospitals when people came in that didn't test positive for, and 50 to 80% false positive with this PCR test, because it shouldn't be used for infectious disease, said the creator of the test, should not be used for infectious disease. And that's why they wanted people to go out and say, like, who are these people that are going to get like tests? Like, I'm not taking a test. I never wanted to go take a test. And I knew from the moment that they said that, all these people, and like these thousands, or like 60,000 people, took the test, and 60,000 people tested positive. It's like the same bullshit story that I heard that was reported out of Spain, that like 90,000 people died in a 24-hour period. See, those are the lies that were going on back then. That almost somewhere in between, I think it was like 89,000 people in Spain died in a 24-hour period. And that was one of my buddies was saying. He said, "What about all those doctors that died?" I said, I don't think they died, dude. I said, I don't believe that those doctors died.
Yeah, manufactured numbers.
Yeah, I mean, the media can say whatever it wants to say, and it doesn't even matter anymore. They can say whatever. They can tell an outright lie, and the goal of that lie is that a small portion of society is going to hear that, and they're not going to hear the day later that the guy, that what he said was incorrect. They're going to hear that, the trauma of what it was said and what was described is going to stick in the person's head, and that's what they want. They want that third of the population of the world, or that quarter of the world, to hear that and just go on absolute fear of this thing. It's trauma-based mind control, and that's what needs to be conveyed out there in some way. T-shirts, something to say you've been, somehow be like, you've been affected by trauma-based mind control. Like the mainstream media is trauma-based mind control. That's all it is. They're no good. Nothing that they say is good. I mean, even Nora O'Donnell the other night, or there was a clip, I don't know if you saw that, was Nora O'Donnell talking to Billy Boy Gates. And she said, oh yeah, and she's reading numbers about these vaccine trials and things like that, and how people were really like injured, like seriously injured. And she's look on her face, she's looking at the screen, like, and she's like traumatized by it. And I don't know whether she believes that all this stuff's going on or whatever. I guess she probably would. And then Gates is sitting there, and he starts moving his hands around. He said, well, you see, blah, 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 that all that stuff, that the sickening, disgusting, just his aura, the aura around that guy. He's garbage. He's microwaved garbage. And I hope that an angel of God comes and takes him out, man. Him and his buddy Fauci, that have patents on all of these, everything, patents on this, patents on that. One good thing is today that I said to this guy, we were talking, and I said, I'll leave you with this factual piece of information. I said, at one point in like 2013 or 2014, they found out, the government, areas of the government found out that they were doing gain of function chimeric research with coronaviruses in the States, and they stopped it. So that I said there was a moratorium on it. He was like, yeah, I heard that. And I said, well, Fauci sent $4 million to Wuhan, the NIH sent almost $4 million to Wuhan to continue the research over there. I said, that guy should be in jail right now. He should be in jail with a death penalty, him and Gates, because, that's just the whole condition.
And many more I can think of.
Many more. Oh yeah. Redfield from the CDC. He should be reduced to rubble. Birx that friggin' airheaded balloon brain, she should be reduced to rubble. All of them.
And
They're
this
just maggots.
Hilarion also.
Is that Hillary?
Yeah. Do you know Hillary, the story on her was when they blew off the atomic bomb, they put a baby inside. And when that baby was exploded and its spirit exploded, it conjured this demon called Hilarion that was injected into the fetus of Hillary when she was conceived.
The Rodhams.
Yeah, so she actually is the demon Hilarion, and that's really probably where she got the Hillary name.
Yeah, I mean they're parasites. They really are parasites. When you look at the people that you can see up front, the Bill Clintons.
Well, they're an alien species. They're an alien species among us. I know. I always bring it back to this. What most people figure is a strange way to say things, not your norm. But in reality, what I'm saying is how it really is, and that everybody else waters it down and covers it up, or is probably clueless. When people, especially our secular news, Russia this, the United States that, or Fauci this, and I'm not picking on you, Drew, because a lot of people actually relate to the way you to bring it up. It's a common man's way. That's why we call the show Ground Zero. You bring it down to the basics that the average person can understand. I'm just very complicated, but I'm a spiritual warrior of the bloodline of Judah, and so I'm going to continue to let people know you're not dealing with people. You're dealing with an alien species infiltrated us, just like the movie They Live, exactly like that.
Yeah.
Put They Live with 1984 together, and you got what's going on.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up, Drew. It's been about an hour and a half or so. And we can do this again anytime. You can do it weekly if you like. But we could talk after the show or anytime. So any last short words? I hesitate because with Brother Lauren, if I say, Lauren, any short words, he'll go on for 30, 40 minutes. And you can't stop the train. So,
like that guy at the event. At the July 4th event that we go to, the guy, he just stands up there and talks.
Oh yeah, that. Oh, yeah.
And then he talks again. Like a half hour later, it's just like, oh, we need a speaker, and he's like, okay, I'll just repeat myself.
You couldn't get him to stop. My gosh, but anyway, you got any final words for the audience, and then we'll close out.
Nah, just realize that we're in a spiritual war. And I just hope that there's some way that we can that I figure out to be able to do battle with them, because there is ways. You pointed out ways, so I know that there are ways. But it's. Here we are. Here we are in the middle. Here we are in the middle of what we knew was coming.
Yeah, and it's really surreal. That's a good word for it. It is so out of ordinary, so off the hook, strange that it's only surreal. The world has become insanity, absolute insanity. And
I look at it. I look at now and what's happening now, and then I look back at times when I knew that all of these machinations and things were going on behind the scenes. I knew, like, on a regular day, like when I was, during the summer when I was driving out there to see you guys, or just on a regular day driving to work or something. I always had in my mind, I was just like, what's it going to look like when they make their move? What's it going to look like when they make their move?
Now we know.
Now we know.
Now we know. This is what it looks like as they make their move and are making their move. Everybody, not a drill, the real deal. Like you say, one last point from my view, a spiritual messenger of Jesus Christ. Back in 2017, September 23, 2017 was the Revelation 12 star sign. I saw a woman with child, moon at her feet, 12 stars for the 12 bloodlines of Jacob, everybody, 12 stars at her head. Well, that occurred in September 23rd, 2017, and it occurred at the birth of Christ, September 11, 3 BC. So both times, the first time it occurred was the proclamation of the birth of our King. This time it occurred in September 2017 was a proclamation of the return of our King. And in both times, his birth occurred within 2 years of that sign. That's why the wise men of Syria walked for 2 years when they saw that sign, and they came to Bethlehem right when baby Jesus was born. So if you take 2017, add 2 years, of course it was almost 2018 then, guess what? 19 and 20. Jesus is coming real soon. Brother Danny thinks it's 2027 and has some very solid biblical reasoning behind that. I think it could be as early as 2024, 2 years from now. Jesus is coming soon. He has to, because otherwise there would be no pure seed DNA left alive. With that, this is Professor Truth and Brother Drew on Ground Zero. We brought you back to Ground Zero, kind of laid it out, the harsh reality of the times we're in. But our King returns, people. I'm not just saying this. I know this. I mean, I have zero doubt that Jesus Christ, our King, is coming so soon that's why everybody's in such a panic. The evil side are freaking out. They may act like they're doing all this stuff, and they are, but your King will not desert you. Your Father will not desert you, but you got to do your part. You can't just live your life and play church. You can't just live your life and do a dinner prayer. You have to you got to start talking to your Father. For all of you that are real fathers and mothers, how would you like it if your kid just thought about you once in a while, or versus the children that call you up, want to hang out with you, come over without being asked? Which child are you going to actually put more time in on? Well, it works just like with Jesus the Father. Which child is he going to put more time in on and send his angels to? The one that is really trying to hang out with them without being asked or told. That's a ground zero way of telling you that. Hang out with your Father. Get in his word. Until next time, this is Professor Truth. Brother Drew, thank you very much, and God bless everybody.